I was really driven and wanted to work hard. Waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, driving with the bicycle on the other side of the city, getting in a car with some colleagues and driving for 1 hour to arrive on the set.
In Italy in particular, you do have that contrast. Just woke up and it's like 6 a.m. and you walk somewhere, everyone is sleeping, and then you're still working 6 p.m., 7 p.m. and people already having their aperitivo and you're moving with all of the equipment.
When I think about the festival, I think about like as a relationship. It's not just about the screening slots somehow.
We send you our film. So quickly you came up with amazing ideas where the two of us were like, why didn't that's kind of obvious, but at the same time that is exactly what can happen.
I think the most important thing is when you do a festival strategy, it's really paying attention to what each festival cares about, kind of a story that they champion, the audience that they attract. And when you approach them in this way, I think every screening becomes somehow like more than a single event.
Oana Andreea Andrii, thank you so much for being here. It is such a pleasure.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, thank you. I want to start with talking to our audience and asking them to hit subscribe. It really helps us in what we're doing, and every podcaster and every podcast that you are listening to be able to continue doing this. So if you could please hit subscribe, and then you'll see more of these amazing episodes like Oana's. And we would really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And Oana, back to you. You are a full-flash producer and production manager. That is pretty cool. I just want to say that. That is pretty cool. I like it. And I want to ask you, because you left Romania very young and you moved to Italy through Erasmus. And what fear, because it's I know how it is to move from one country to the other. And what fear did you have to face first when you arrived there?
Well, the beginning was a little bit tough for me, I had to say. I think the first fear was being judged of my nationality, because I heard so many stories of women, Romanian women, which went in Italy. So yeah, being 20 right there was a little bit confusing for me. But then, I just met the right people and the right friends, and all the thoughts, like the bad thoughts, vanished away.
That's beautiful. And you went over there to study. What did you study? Do tell us.
So my field was photography and multimedia. And when I arrived to Italy, unfortunately, I had kind of a shock experience, because one day before my arrival in Italy, I just discovered that the professor, whom I wanted to do the photography lesson, he shot himself.
What?
So, yeah, that was my first shock experience there. And so I had to start from scratch and do different fields that wasn't in my competence somehow. So I did it was painting and sculpture, scenography, I think. I did different things except for photography.
Okay.
Because of, unfortunately, this incident that it was. And so I was there for 6 months. And then after I finished my studies with Erasmus, I went back to Romania. I did my degree. But in the meantime, while I was living in Italy, I got to know people also from the film industry, which from my side, as I said before, I was a lucky one. And so after my degree, I decided to move back to Italy to start my professional career path.
And whereabouts in Italy you moved first?
It was always in Bari.
Bari.
I
Beautiful.
never moved away from that city. I think that really catch my soul there.
What was it about that city? Because I don't know it. Unfortunately, I should go there, I think, it sounds like.
Yeah,
Tell
you
us, what
should.
was it? Is it the energy, the people, all combined, the
I think
industry?
all combined. I think all
Mhm.
combined, and it was kind of very similar with the cultural side of my country. They are all super friendly, welcoming, always happy, friendly. And that's the thing why I also felt most welcomed. And so, yeah, it was also a combination of seaside, all the time sun, happiness, joy, finishing the work and then go and drink a beer in front of the sea. That was, like this kind of like super small things that really made me take the decision to move there and yeah, never leave.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
Yeah.
I moved throughout Italy myself, and as you described, they do know how to enjoy life. They
Mm.
do know how to kind of combine life-work balance. But then we are speaking about the film industry, so that's a very different ball game, I guess. And you've described that you kind of worked in that industry for 6 years there, and you were waking up before dawn, coming home late at night, worked on sets in different, in different professional capacities, different sets.
Yeah.
What inner conviction or maybe feeling that you had inside kept you going? What was it that motivated you to do all that? Also, because in Italy in particular, you do have that contrast. You kind of walk the streets, and I shot there are two of my short movies, and it's kind of like drastic where you just woke up and it's like 6 a.m. and you walk somewhere, everyone is sleeping, and then you're still working 6 p.m., 7 p.m., and people
Mm.
already having their aperitivo, beers, wine, all of that type of thing. And you're
Love
moving
it.
with all of the equipment and stuff. So
Yeah.
what was your motivation?
I think I was just ambitious. I like as I said before, mine was a different background. So I was really trying to get more involved and more connected with the territory itself. So for me, I wasn't just the Romanian girl working on a set, I was the little Italian one, which really trying to show others that no matter background, you can do the same. And no matter your capacity, like physical capacity, you can really try to do as much as possible, or at least equal as the others. But yeah, I think it was just ambitious. I was really driven and wanted to work hard and trying to arrive as high possible. But yeah, back then I was working in on sets, and I was working also as a video assistant. Waking up at 5 a.m. in the morning, driving with the bicycle on the other side of the city, getting in a car with some colleagues and driving for 1 hour to arrive on the set. That was actually challenging for me at some point. But yeah, back then when the sun started to, sunset, the aperitivo was on. So
She just did it for that, you guys.
Culture.
That's the only reason.
well, that's kind of a motto in life, It's just arriving by the end of the day and seeing all the fishermen. I mean, the best part of that experience was actually arriving very, very early in the morning when the fishermen were coming with their boats, and all the sea gods were like flying above the boats, and it was really amazing to see it. Like I was also willing to help them somehow to bring the boxes with the fishes on the market.
Can I be a part of this? I'll just carry it. It's okay. I just wanna.
Yeah, I just wanted to help.
Yeah.
No, but that was really beautiful experience from that. But then I also had to deal with the fact that I was really exhausting. Like after 6 months of working every day and changing the locations of the set, that was really challenging for me, like physically speaking. But I kind of missed that time. But that Swift actually made me look more into the distribution. So having like a fixed job, going into the office, not at 6 a.m. in the morning, but with a more normal schedule.
Human
like 9.
hours.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
What's with the language? Have you learned by being on sets, or have you? What's the story there? Because Italian is, not the easiest one.
Yeah,
I mean, at least for
so
me.
before getting into the film industry, it was 1.5 year or 2 years actually, where I was working in a winery bar, and I was writing down on my palm, or like on my hand palm, all the words that I didn't knew it. So when people were coming to me and asking, I was a waitress actually. So this is how I actually learned the language. And of course, with some help of my friends. I have this nice memory of one of my good friends. I used to live in an apartment with other roommates, and he had this like kind of a routine. He was going down and buying the newspaper in the morning after his coffee. And then he was coming back and he was asking me to read one of the political articles back on the newspaper. So, and then I was reading loudly. And then he asked me to do like a kind of summary of all the things to ask me if I understood the language or not. And so that was kind of a part of my experience back then. So all the Italian, I learned it on place.
Oh, Oana, this sounds so romantic. I want to go to Italy again. I want to ride my bike and I want to hear the seagulls, because that's like my home too. Because when they sing, I know other people don't like them so much, but we have them a lot in Iceland. And when I hear them, I'm like, ocean, like it's just home.
I don't
But
know
then
why
having the warmth. Sorry, yeah, say.
I don't know why anyone loves seagulls in Italy, but I just find them super romantic.
I love them. I think they're home. They're home for me. And yeah, God, I'm like, let's just talk about Italy today.
Let's talk about seagulls.
Let's do that.
The thing is that what is interesting for us and our listeners also is like, we're always wondering how to get into the industries, like how do they work? And that would one of the questions is like how, because you started as a waitress, how were you able to enter it in Italy, and how was it then on set? Like, is it totally different because now you're located in Austria and it's snowing here. We're both in Austria and it's snowing, and we're talking about like the sun and the warmth and whatever. But can you tell us about that? That would be
Yes, of course. So my first experience actually when I arrived on set was as a set photographer because of my background in photography. So I presented myself as a photographer, and then I was on set on different international movies because I was speaking back then. I was one of the, I don't know, a few people which were talking very fluently English. So for me, it was kind of a first introduction into the field. And so then I was also I was doing backstage and so on. And then back then, some of my colleagues from different production companies, they were telling me, hey, we need someone who do video assist. So it's kind of a different job. And so I was like, yeah, why not? I think I can do that. And so I had a good friend of mine who really teach me how to do it, like with cables, everything, connection, signal.
And could you please, for our audience, describe what is video asset? What is this?
Yes, thank you.
So it's actually the role. It's actually taking care of bringing the image which camera records in front of a monitor, which the director is actually looking for. So basically, you need to show to the director and to the continuity person what the camera is also shooting at that moment. So it's a little bit complicated, but it's always about batteries, cables. Try not to move too many things around, not being in front of the camera, try to be as hide as possible. And yeah, that's it.
Okay. And so what you did, so just so we like break it down, it would be really interesting. You apply as a photographer on set, like still photos, or
No, back then I was, as I told you, I was really lucky to meet some people which were actually in the industry back then. So I had a very good friend of mine, which introduced me to other people. They were starting working also in the industry. So it was all kind of lucky connections back then.
networking.
Networking, exactly.
One-on-one networking. Okay, got it.
And I have to say that by the beginning of 2012, when I was also like starting to, learn a little bit of Italian, I started actually in 2014. So that 2 years gap was actually when I started learning Italian. So when I was doing also the waitress job, just to get more into the Italian culture, so understand a little bit better the language. But back then, it was much more easier for me to understand how to start and where to put my hands, and how to communicate with people, which was actually part of the fun.
And when you're on set in Italy, what is it that, like, how is it run? How is it working there? Is there a big difference between other sets that you've been in other countries?
Not so much. They were all super professional. Actually, what happened is that in 2012, the region got a lot of international fundings for film industry. So they invest a lot into international productions, into tax credit, into big national productions. So they had really a lot of money to invest into the territory. So for me, it was kind of a moment to get into the field. So and so they really had a lot of opportunities for people who were living already there to build their own companies and to start doing, like, I don't know, from advertisement to short films to TV series, super international movies. Like, I remember that the first thing that my colleagues told me is that we got so lucky because there was an Indian production, a Bollywood production, that was actually shooting a scene in Polignano Mare, which is a very well-known city now. It's full of tourists. And back then, it was the first thing, it was the boom, actually, for all the industry, international industry, to go back in south of Italy and start working with the people from there, because they want to reproduce the same scenes somehow. So, yeah.
And may I ask you what kind of project you were involved with? Because, even having the video assistant on set already gives me an idea that it's not really low budget or independent, because that's, setting the standard.
Yeah. So back then, I was working, the longest project was actually with the TV series from Rai Cinema. It's called Capitano Maria. And it was about one season with 10 episodes or something like this. And then I did some other national movies that were actually they were like in Venice. Some of them went also to Rome Film Festival. So yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Speaking about festivals,
Yeah.
Festivals.
you mentioned it yourself that then you decided after this 6 years, more or less, run with
Yeah.
the, film production and getting into the nitty-gritty of the industry, you moved into distribution,
Yeah.
sort of to the other side. And what was the most surprising truth or fact that you learned about distribution and festivals in particular, something that you didn't know before moving into that side?
Very interesting question. I learned so many things, I have to say, starting from the way it is presented, the way it's been shooted. And actually, the most challenging thing was trying to find the right path for the short film itself. So learning actually the background of each festival, I don't know, trying to speak also with the filmmaker and understand what is actually the I don't know, the ambitious that he has in terms of like selections, festival, career, like path and everything. So I think that was the most challenging thing. It took me some time, I have to say. But it was also, I was just happy when I got an important selection for them and we were like in big festivals, and I think that was the most, beautiful thing, I have to say.
Beautiful.
And I guess the most intricate part, because we've ever ourselves were trying to navigate, as you know, the story of festival circuit on our own, and that proved to be very challenging. Also because you never know what the festivals are looking for, and without, if you're not kind of a frequenter there, if you don't go and watch their selection, you don't know what kind of movies they're interested in. How do you, if you can maybe provide some secret information, how do you learn about the festivals? Do you go there? Do you kind of, what's the inner logic of that? How do you navigate what the festivals are looking
So back
for?
then when I started, we were just in 3 people in the company, and I already had like a very deep insight about how it really works. The 2 people, they already have a knowledge about which kind of festival work for a specific movie. And so I learned time by time. But what really helped me a lot is actually going through the history of each festival, like knowing their kind of selection that they had before the lineup, what is the audience, what they are looking for. And I think this is the most important thing, that actually it's part of the distributor work. It's trying to get in contact with the selection committee, make them have a look on the short film, get a review, a feedback or something. I think it's super important. And then, of course, you create a connection with each festival itself, because, of course, you have short films that you want to present, you have a list of movies that you want to show to them. And so you create a much deeper connection. And year by year, you actually get in touch with them and become some kind of a friendship, because at the end, when you got the film selected, you also present yourself as a distributor in front of the audience, and then you get a much more, how do you say, a connection also with the festival itself. So yeah, that was the thing.
So may I ask you something?
Yeah.
May I ask you something? You're on our podcast. That's funny, right? Maybe yes. Let me think about it, Eva. What I want to say is, can we take our film as a case study? And I was, for everyone listening and watching this, I hope you guys are watching. Oana is such a gorgeous woman. It's so amazing. We send you our film. And you were so kind that you said, yeah, you would watch it and tell us like how the festival strategy, what would be good. And so quickly you came up with amazing ideas where the two of us were like, why didn't, that's kind of obvious, but at the same time, that is exactly what can happen because this is your own art. Like Valeria, this is her baby. Like it's a part of her life, you know, and all of these things. So it's sometimes hard to look at it like you do. But if we take our film as a case study, how were you able, just watching, like, to come up with this festival strategy that you then came up with for us? And it didn't take you long. Like you're like, I'm gonna watch, and then like I don't know, 2 days later we had like a whole strategy, and we were like, okay, wow.
Yeah, it's been 6 years since I was in the industry, so actually,
Of course.
if that doesn't work, that means that I have a problem.
Yeah, true.
No, but it was, I think the most important thing, it's when you do a festival strategy, it's also thinking about the context, like the theme itself. And I know that filmmakers wear so many hats that it's easy to get lost, you know, with deadlines and requirements of the festivals. That's why actually the festival distributor job exists. And like, fortunately, their role are growing and they really help fill the gap in the knowledge by guiding filmmakers through the complex festival landscape. I think also prioritizing actually the right premiere context is also the key. So not going also on biggest festival that will give you, you know, the film visibility. But I think it's also a smaller festival that are much more curated and can provide you often a much stronger start somehow. That actually can set the tone of the film from the whole festival journey. I don't know. When I think about the festival, I think about like as a relationship somehow. I know it sounds crazy, but it's not just about the screening slots somehow. It's really paying attention to what each festival cares about. I don't know, like curatorial focused kind of a story that they champion, the audience that they attract somehow. So what I was saying before, you know, like getting to know more about the history of the festival itself. And when you approach them in this way, I think every screening becomes somehow like more than a single event. So it's also a chance to somehow build visibility, create meaningful connection, and also open doors from the film beyond the premiere. In your case, I know already that you submitted to some festivals. And I know that you were like so ambitious that you wanted to go more into the A festivals, which are like the biggest ones.
Of course, you guys.
I can totally understand.
And guys, just that we're honest, Valeria and I, yeah, we totally did that. And that was obviously, we needed to learn that lesson. Thank you. We've learned it.
No, but it's totally fine. I mean, everyone has their own consideration about their little baby, you know, and it's totally normal to get into that. I mean, no one says to you, hey, don't do that because maybe you would not get selected, but in some way it's I mean, this A festival gets thousands and thousands of submissions yearly, and they have hundreds of people behind who watch the short films. And I can tell you, some of them, they are watching the first 20 seconds. And from the first 20 seconds, they understand if they want to go forward or not. So that's also part of the strategy somehow. You really need to understand if your short film would reach the right audience, will reach the right selector. But back to what I was saying before, when when you're trying to also to submit to the small festivals, you also need to think about like you can introduce your film also to the right critics. And starting from these small festivals, you can get in contact with programmers or even like potential distributors, or I don't know. It's like submitting to a festival for me, it's like thinking on a long term, rather than aiming to the big names. And I think that really helps like a festival path succeed. Thinking in small and then grower little by little. But of course, you really need to have some help, from outside, because as I said, if you are too involved into the project, it's very difficult to be like objective somehow.
Yes.
So you really need some feedbacks from outside. Of course, some of the festival can really give you a feedback on why they don't select your movie or what can be improved maybe in the next project. But from my point of view, it's really also about the whole project. How is it presented? How it match also with the image of what you're showing, the story behind, and a lot of other things. But yeah.
And yeah, you can definitely talk about what you told us. That's totally fine. Like that we talk about exactly how you came up with a strategy for us, because maybe that's going to help someone out there. First of all, to book Oana. I am not kidding you guys. She's amazing. And it was just so organic and felt so aligned then for both of us, which is beautiful. And I can only speak for myself, but I could feel that Valeria the same. So yeah, please, like I just think it's going to help others and help filmmakers, because all of us are like, please, can somebody see our work? Like it's a good thing, we did something beautiful. And
no, definitely. But I also think I need to say that like a festival strategy doesn't work for all the short films. It works for like your film itself. What I did with your work was actually thinking about the message behind it. What was actually the meaning of the short film, what it says, what is the importance, like the message you want to send to the audience, and what is the character struggling with. So starting from that point, I was thinking, okay, maybe we should switch it. But it's also part of the strategy. Like if you see that a plan A doesn't work, you need to have a plan B and a C and a D. So in order to have at least a couple of selections, so you get to know your film and you get to know the film itself to the audience. So I always did, like in the past, I was like, okay, if with the A festival doesn't work, for example, we need to have a plan B. So in that case, we go with smaller festivals, which has, I don't know, like money awards that somehow pays you the budget that you really invested on doing that short film. And then on the other hand, you have specific thematic festivals, which focus actually on the theme that you have it in your short film. Like on that side, as I suggested you, was most personal mindfulness somehow. So health, mental health, strugglings. So festivals which are more focused on that theme, because they are so many. Like it's not about only drama in general as a genre, but it's also like going more into that meaningful thing. So this is how I actually thought about suggesting you this.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
My question that just pops up into my head. What do you think, and maybe it's a philosophical one and you don't have to answer, but like I'd like to know your thoughts. What comes first, the egg or the chicken? Meaning that, do you think that the filmmaker thinking about the festival, thinking about the film, should also think through the film strategy somehow, if it's not obviously like the first time filmmaker and they do short films and they want to get into a festival circle potentially? Or do you think they should really care about the story and, and everything else is beyond their focus? Or do you think it has to be in balance?
First of all, thank you for asking that. I think it's one of the most important questions to be made when someone is really starting working on a project. Because besides the fact that every short film can be a piece of art, it's also important if you get to the right audience. So most of the time, which should be done, if I'm allowed to say that, it's you write a short film that you know that it can reach some audience, some festivals. And there are some producers, some directors, writers that knows already what the market festivals is requiring. And they write that specific theme. They write that specific moment. I don't know, there was a time where everyone was talking about immigration. And most of the festivals, they were accepting films talking about that immigration in different forms. I don't know, like in a very artistic approach, or more fictional approach, or more sci-fi approach, different sizes. But it was that moment, that specific thematic that was written. And it was very important. That's the same thing that actually should be happening also with the short films in general. Like, you really need to be on that specific moment to write a specific theme. Like, I don't know, for example, now it's still the immigration thematic, but it's more like in a tragic way, I have to say. So, yeah. I think it's very important to answer, to be more concise about your question. I think it's very important to think about a strategy before even writing the short film. So, and what other people are doing, like in Italy, it happens all the time to get requests for fundings. In order to get the fundings, they had to have like a letter of intention from the distributor. So they sent the script, the whole script of the short film. And the distributor would have said, okay, we accept this project. We want to give you a letter of intent that when the short film is done, we were going to distribute it. So I think it's part of the whole process of the pre-production to have a strategy in mind and see and know exactly where you want to go when the short film is done.
So the best is to work with Oana from the beginning on. It really is.
Well,
just saying.
I don't know.
At least
you.
have like book a session with you, one or two from the beginning, and then I think have you on board from pre-production on, also for the budgeting and everything.
Thank you. It's an honor.
Yeah, no, as you can hear, we're very, very impressed.
To with that.
Yes, it's like we're very impressed by your work and how good you work. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's really like sometimes you don't prioritize the work that it should be made afterwards, because of course doing a short film, it's also a challenging part, getting the fundings, getting people on set, working, editing, doing a lot. But some of them, they really forget about the important part, because making the short film, it's not like having a feature film that goes to the cinema, but actually submitting to the festivals and know exactly where you want to go and what is the audience that you want to reach.
Mm-hmm. Beautiful. It's just, we're like, we're in love with Oana. And that's yeah. This has been amazing, Oana. This has been just so beautiful. And I'm lucky enough, and we are lucky enough to have met you. And thank you that you said yes to this podcast and coming on. Where is the best place to reach you? If people, as I said, want to book a session with you, work with you, where's the best place?
Well, the best place for sure it's gonna be an email. I'm also having like a website, which it's under the I started like back then when I moved to Austria. I was like, I think I'm gonna go to my creative side again somehow. So I started doing a website from scratch again, because I would love to go back and meet other people and do portraits. I love the way of interacting with people and make them look beautiful in front of the camera, and just like give them the right boost, of confidence, which I think some of the photographers, I'm sorry, I don't want to be very rude, but they don't get it. So it's just like making photos and that's it, and then edit it, but they don't get the connection, with the person which is in front of the camera. So when I moved to Austria, I was like, okay, I'm gonna start doing photography again, because I put it on hold for so many years. And I'm gonna share with you the website, and then you have also my contacts there.
Fantastic.
Which also includes, of course, production and distribution, but
Oh, beautiful. Well, thank you so much. We will put it in the show notes so that people can reach you. And guys, Valeria and I were like, Valeria, am I right? We are very happy with her work, and can only say the best things about you, and highly recommend you.
Thank you very much. And I really wish you good luck with the submissions. And if you still need some help and you say, hey, your plan didn't work, let's try a new one, I'm here.
Thank you so much. This has been amazing. Thank you.